It's Carne. It's a
Yes!
Friday night. That's girl named Nino over there. Carne is Quarantine Con Carne, sponsored tonight by C&H Financial Services, freeprocessingnow.com. Remember that website because we're heading into a point where businesses will be up and running again. Well, let's say summer. When you get to that point, you, the business owner, will want C&H Financial Services on your side. They can help you eliminate 100% of the fees associated with taking credit and debit cards. 100% of the fees. Free processing now.
100%.
100. Thank you, girl named Nino. 100%. 100%. So that is C&H Financial Services. Before we talk to girl named Nino, who is performing live right here on Carne Carne's Facebook at 8:50, or if you're listening to the podcast before the podcast is over, I do want to mention these just came in on carne.com. If you click on free merch, not free merch, new merch, definitely not free merch.
Free merch.
The new limited edition Quarantine Con Carne t-shirt in white.
Woo!
That's right.
Ow.
And check this out. I love this. 1 hour tees.
Oof.
Does these.
That's where I do my merch.
The black tee. Quarantine Con Carne, limited edition stuff, new merch on carne.com. A value at any price, but I think they're $20. So, all right, without further ado, it is girl named Nino across town through the magic of the internet, through the magic of video conferencing. Hi, thank you for doing this.
Hello.
Look at your cool little creative space.
Thank you.
Do all the pictures on the wall have like a story behind them? Like a reason?
Absolutely. Raison d'être. Let's be pretentious.
Let's talk French. Oui. Tell me about one of your favorite pieces there.
Well, this lady came to me when I moved here. So there was this really cool store in Logan Square called Threads, etc., which was kind of like a arts and resale furniture. Like it was a cool little shop, and it was there, and that's where I got it. So it was kind of a new beginnings, Mother Earth character.
Love it.
This piece was on my Moonlight Daughter. It was one of my merch art pieces. It was a t-shirt. So it was one of the pieces I made in college that ended up in a gallery show. So it was kind of a reminder that stuff works out. I love that. It's that one is called New York in Winter. And
I love it.
And then there's some like favorite pieces. This is from one of my best friends that lives in Saudi Arabia now. And she gave that to me from a local artist. And she said it looked like me, but it wasn't. And she was like, it reminds me of you. I want you to have it. So yeah, like, and then some really like special, like Daily Herald, my first Daily Herald feature, and Georgian newspaper feature. There's an article in Russia.
Well, let's talk a little
magazine.
bit. You talked about coming over here and moving to Chicago, and you just mentioned Georgia. You are from Georgia, not the state of Georgia. You're from the actual country of Georgia, the part of the former Soviet Republic.
The old world.
The old world.
The old world, yeah.
When did you come to Chicago?
I came here I moved to Chicago 10 years ago. So I've been in Chicago in over 10 years. But I came here like, pre-teens with my family, kind of one of those immigrant stories that you hear, family moved for work. My mom is a biochemist, and she works in cystic fibrosis research currently.
Wow.
So she's an incredible lady with a very, very good, amazing mind. So she was recruited to work on sickle cell anemia in Alabama, and she worked there, and like we were by ourselves. Well, my brother is older, so I'm like the baby in the family. So I was there with my family, and then we relocated to Illinois. So it was just kind of one of those typical immigrant relocation stories. But I grew up in Tbilisi, inner city Tbilisi, which is kind of like if you think of Paris, but with more pollution even. But it's like it's beautiful, but extremely polluted and loud and kind of obnoxious. And then I moved to Norwood, Illinois, which is next to Lake Bluff. And
got it.
So it was the weirdest cultural shock.
Oh, I bet.
It was, everybody like, you could walk everywhere,
Where
but you can't.
Where did you find your interest in music and performing? Was it in Georgia, or did it kind of come to life when you came to America?
I started in Georgia, and I thought that I wanted to be an actor. I fell in love with theater when I was a kid, and that wasn't really a career path you could choose, like to make a living necessarily. So it was a dream of mine, and as a kid, like 5th grade, I went to kind of a theater school, like after school with my best friend, and I thought that that was gonna be my career path, like dramatic arts. And when I moved here, I got kind of stifled in a way because I didn't speak English, so I had to learn everything from scratch. And so my life kind of shifted a little bit. And interestingly enough, soon enough, I found my way back to it, but it took like a little backseat. And I found music in high school. When I went to high school, I had like a ESL class that was extremely offensive. And
Really?
it was very offensive. Like, it was just, you were expected to not do well in life, and the kids were like, just, I don't know. It was offensive to me. So I went to the teacher and I said I wanted out, and she said, "Oh yeah, you can go." So I just I was like, "I'm good. I don't need you." She was racist and unpleasant.
Nice.
And so so I had a friend who was in choir, and she said, "Come audition for the choir." And that meant sight reading and things like that, and I didn't know how to do any of that. So there was this really nice program at Lake Forest High School, and there's a man there named Tim Haskett, and Mr. Haskett was like super cool and very nice to me, and he inspired me to like just and that was my beginning to sing and to learn and kind of roll my sleeves up. But I didn't really learn to read music properly until I actually went to music school, college, pre-college, I don't know.
I find one of the things I like about you, Girl Named Nino, you're impossible
Tell me.
You're impossible to pin down. Are you chamber pop? Are you jazz? Are you indie? Are you folk? Are you R&B? Why do I even try? Why do I even try? You're a little bit of all that. Has your kind of amorphous musical identity made it easier or harder to cut a path here in Chicago?
A little bit of both. I think that to me, it has never really mattered what genre people think I am. As long as I get to find my voice, and I've always looked for my voice, and because as long as you know who you are as a person and as a musician, I think whatever genre you take on becomes an authentic way for you to communicate. So if I decide to make films down the line, it will still be me making films because my voice will be steadfast. So
for sure.
it doesn't matter if people like. I don't think people that are have an affinity for me or fans of what I do care what genre I take on, because it's like what I'm saying with it,
Absolutely.
So, and I haven't really like gone in. I don't go into a music, like I don't go to like my favorite record store, like Dusty Groove. I don't go. I think I'm gonna go to the R&B box and look for what's good. Like I go in and I dig in, and so like I hope. My audience is a little bit of like me in that, they like a little bit of everything. So if that's how we come together, that's how we come together. So for me, it's like truth. How can I communicate best I can, be most authentic self, and tell good stories in that short format, song format.
Let's talk about your latest short story. So at 8:55 tonight, you're going to play this song right here on Carne, the song "Am I Enough?" What's interesting, I first heard this before COVID-19 became the only thing we talked about. And this is a song that you self-described as being about navigating through the world with intense anxiety. Well, shit, look where we are now. This song couldn't be more timely or appropriate.
I know, right?
Kind of weird how that worked out. It's
prophetic.
A beautiful, haunting song. What else can you tell me about that, other than it's just kind of a reflection of those emotions?
You know what? It's a treat to have been able to work with one of my professors from DePaul, Thomas Miller, who's a contemporary composer as well as an amazing sound engineer, and he's a great educator in that school with my alma mater, DePaul Music School. And he's one of the people I worked with on one of his pieces when I was there. And he ended up kind of working with me over the years for video projects with his senior graduating SRT class, and they work on these experimental recording techniques. So, we worked several times. Like last time we worked, we had a chamber group. So I wrote a song, and then we had Gordy, my partner, Gordy there on electric guitar, and Tom arranged for a chamber group. So it was a quartet, an upright bass, and I was on the grand piano. So it was just a really beautiful experience. And then this time he reached out, he said, I want to do something different because I'm featuring Chicago songwriters. And so I said, to top, like, I don't know, how do you top that quartet experience? So I said, I want to do something where we really produce it together. Like, this is just going to be like really cooked. So, I started writing, and I kind of throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks. Usually that's how I write. And it just nothing would stick. Nothing was like sounded, nothing was like speaking to me. And then finally, like end of November, I came up with this concept. And then like, I think it went through like 10 different versions. I almost drove him crazy. He was like, oh my God, you're changing the tempo and the like, right. So it was a collaboration, and he produced this. And based on kind of like the vibes I was feeling, like I was really feeling the Lana Del Rey record. I was really feeling some of the Post Malone stuff that came out. So I wanted to kind of tap into artists that I like that are on a, like Billie Eilish, people that are on the forefront but make authentic music, that are songwriters first, but also really like producing their own stuff. And I see them making records for years to come, and that's kind of the kind of artist, I would like to be. I would like to think that that's the kind of artist I am. So that we ended up creating this together. And it's a little different and a little fresh and a new direction for me, which is where I want to go, into more like, electronic alternative pop, more not dance music, but with a little more cooked stuff, less acoustic, but more not mainstream, but something that could be on the radio, or more likely to be on the radio.
For sure. And I do want to again say that song, Am I Enough, will be played live by you, or live-ish, at 8:55 right here on Carne on the Facebook page. I mentioned the whole pandemic thing we're living through right now. It is quarantine con carne right now. How are you holding up, Nino?
I'm very fortunate because I have I'm quarantining with my favorite people. With my kid is in kindergarten, we're e-learning.
You've got about another 2 years. You've got about another 2 years of being able to help your kid with math. Then by fourth grade, forget it. Just letting you know now that's trouble on the horizon.
I love math.
Okay, well, the math might not be my strong suit. So you're quarantining with people you like. So, but you strike me as such an extrovert. Excuse me. It seems like you're the type of person who would want to be out, and this would be stifling to someone like you.
I'm actually not an extrovert. What do you call it? A situational extrovert. I have to really work myself up to be out, actually. So, I don't like being out too much because it takes too much out of me. So I love people, and I love contact has a lot of substance, but I don't like the empty talk, like just rubbing shoulders just to go out. Like that literally just pulls all of my life force out of me.
I'm right there with you. Small talk is exhausting. Couldn't agree with you more.
And then I don't like it, like when I know you don't want to, I don't know. There's a lot of that in our industry, and you would know, you have to go to a lot of things, and there's great, like being online is a great way to kind of avoid having to be always in meetings one-to-one, and, online calls.
Right.
I'll take that. So I'm taking it, in that sense, I'm taking it just fine. I just, what's impacting me is trying to not to be too wiped out by everything, of all the bad news. So trying to focus on the good things, not just ignoring the stuff that's happening, but more like focusing on what I can control, So just really weird, trying to like put the blinders on and have dreams, but not be like driving yourself nuts.
I was talking about this a week or two ago. I think for me, at least, the best way to kind of get through all this is to take things in chunks. And instead of looking toward the end of the line when we finally get sprung, and let's say it's June 15th when that happens, it's just finding those signposts along the way to hit, because otherwise you'll go insane. It becomes overwhelming to the point of almost being debilitating. But if you think, okay, well, this Saturday I'm going to do this, or tonight I'm going to talk to Nino and she's going to play on Carne.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Exactly. Before we play right here, which again, I'm really excited to see you do, and you're cool.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is the first time I'm doing it acoustic like this.
Really?
So I'm so excited. Yeah, I'll be looping my electric guitar, which is a part of this recording, and I'll be looping some keyboards, which is also in the recording, but this is very stripped down. So I hope you enjoy that.
I will. Hooray for technology. But before that happens, if people want to support you, I ask this of every artist I've been talking to, how do we support you in this weird time when you can't play out?
Just come be a part of my community. I just want to be connected to you. I want to figure out, what kind of people are into what I'm about. And I just want to grow my community. So if you're on Instagram or if you're on Twitter, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, on TikTok. I love TikTok because I make a lot of like harmonizing videos. If you like to listen, like people nerding out, that's what I do. I nerd out. I either make Nino, like choreography.
I want you to look at this, Gray. I can't go on TikTok. There's a default setting on my Android phone that won't let me actually download the app because of the gray hair.
Just the face scan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Okay, boomer, you're out.
Lies. It's not true. It's a very interesting platform. Remember when Instagram was blowing up? Before it blew up, people were like, oh, I don't want to post pictures. And people thought it was a picture app. And now look at what it's done. So
for sure.
It's, it's not for everybody for sure. But like YouTube, I make different content. I make weekly videos and I do more of like behind the scenes. Before things kind of shut down, I did more of like behind the scenes of what artists do. So you don't just come out on stage and look fabulous and sound great. Like, what does it take to do what you do? Because coming up, I didn't have a lot of insight on what that was about. And like when I would ask people and I would get a lot of weird non-answers. So it's really good to have kind of offer that kind of mentorship without really like, oh, look at me. It's more like, hey, come into my world, like be a part of this. So,
for sure.
Come into my world. Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of Carne, and I've been like, like tweeting at you about like tahini and barbecue sauce and weird
it's true
alternatives to barbecue. And when the ban lifts, we have to do like get vegan burgers. And
I'm all in. All right, I'm going to let you get ready to perform. I want to thank everyone who's been watching on Facebook Live. Tony, Mark, Katie, Dan, Tracy, Jeff, James, Ryan, Dominic, Christy, Daniel, Planker, Eric, everyone else has been checking us out. Thank you. Don't go away. If you're on Facebook, Nino is going to be playing right here on Carne in minutes. Thank you for watching the Facebook Live.
Let's go. Where I belong, my feet don't fail me now.
once and it's my bad. Fool me twice and it's all my fault. Hold up, this ain't how it goes. Sidetrack into darker prose. Hear that, play that back again till I come right back around. Hold up, this ain't how it goes. Sidetrack into darker prose. Hear that, play that back again till I come right back around. Am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I enough for you? Am I good enough for you? Am I enough? Am I good enough? Ooh, not enough for you. Am I good enough for you? Good enough for you. Listen up and I won't hold nothing back. Got my pride, but I work for it. Live my life with my heart in my hand. Let it grow back stronger when it's broken. And every morning when I'm up, remember what my old man said to me. Remember who helps you up when you're face down on the ground. What goes around always comes around. Ooh, what goes around always comes around. Always comes around. And what goes around always comes around.